Hello my sweet angel besties, welcome back. I feel like I'm equal parts nervous and excited for this video because in today's reading vlog, I am going to be reading 5-star predictions. And that's so scary to say because going into a book with high expectations, like there's a lot of room for disappointment there, so I'm nervous. But yeah, in today's video, I'm gonna be picking up a bunch of books that I think could be 5-star reads for me. I'm hoping are 5-star reads for me and we'll see if they actually are. I don't know exactly how many books I'm gonna feature in this video. I'm planning on filming it over the next few weeks, but I do know which book I'm going to start with, and that is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I am so excited to have this in my hands. I am also very, very grateful because I was sent an early copy of this book. So a huge thank you to Penguin for sending me an early copy of this book. Like, I literally still can't believe it. And of course, this is a 5-star prediction for me. I think out of the 5 books that I've read from her so far, I've rated 3 of them 5 stars, 1 of them 4.5 stars, and 1 of them 4 stars, which is a crazy success rate. But again, not all of them have been 5-star reads. The last 2 releases of hers have been 5 stars, and in my opinion, I feel like her writing just gets like better and better. But also in saying that, I don't know, is it too bold to assume perfection every time, you know? Apart from that, I do have an idea of which other books I would love to read in this video because I do have other 5-star predictions. This is not like a set in stone TBR, but I'm thinking we will start off with Great Big Beautiful Life because that's one that I already have in my hands. And all of the other ones that I have in mind are all new releases as well, but we have Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. Also, Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, another one of my favorite authors. So many of my favorite authors have new releases coming out this month. It's actually overwhelming, but that's another 5-star prediction for me. And also Fearless by Lauren Roberts. I loved the first book of that series. I wasn't as obsessed with the second book in the series, but I'm really intrigued to see how the trilogy ends with this final book. So those are the books I'm hoping I can read in today's video, but I guess we'll wait and see. So let's get into this one, shall we? I started Great Big Beautiful Life last night. I read the first 50 pages, so I thought I would give you my initial thoughts. To be fair, I feel like I don't have a lot to say yet because all we've really had so far is introducing the setting, the start of the plot, our main characters, but so far I'm really interested. I think that the premise of this book is probably the most interesting to me out of all of Emily Henry's other books. Like, I've never really gone into an Emily Henry book for the plot. I've just always known that it's going to be great writing, great characters, probably a lot of character development as well, great banter. Like, there's always a plot, but I wouldn't say the main thing is the plot. Whereas this book seems there's a bit more of a plot going on here. So we are reading from Alice's POV, and she is a writer, and she has gone to visit this lady called Margaret, who used to be very famous, lived an extraordinary life, a very interesting life, has a lot of connections to famous people. And from what I've gathered so far, I think she dated a rock star back in the day, and she also was a bit of a socialite. So we have Margaret, who is now a lot older, and she is living a very calm, peaceful life. And Alice has come to Margaret and said, I would love to write your life story. Almost like Evelyn Hugo vibes a bit, but another writer, Hayden, has also come to Margaret and proposed the same thing. And Margaret has decided that she will kind of work with both of the 2 writers, Alice and Hayden, and after a certain amount of time, she will decide whose writing she likes better, who she prefers working with, and whoever wins, I guess, will be able to continue writing Margaret's life story and also publish it. And Hayden is a bit more of an established writer. He already kind of has a few awards and things under his belt, and he just looks like the more experienced writer, I guess. And then we have Alice, who's a bit less experienced, and for her this would probably be like her big break into the book world, I guess. That's kind of the situation. So we have a bit of like a competition element, I guess, but also why am I so fascinated and so excited to learn about Margaret's story and her life? I'm assuming that as Hayden and Alice get to spend more time with Margaret, that they will be able to hear stories about her life and just get to know her a bit more, and I'm really interested in that. Obviously, I'm assuming they're probably going to get feelings for each other because at the end of the day, we all know that Emily Henry is going to put romance in her book. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that there will be a romance in this book. But yeah, that is the basic premise. Like I said, that is fascinating to me. I loved The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and it kind of is giving a similar vibe, like writing the life story of someone who lived a really interesting, unusual life. So I'm hoping we get a lot of Margaret's story. I've also got annotating supplies multipliers in case anything stands out to me. But yeah, it just feels good to be back in an Emily Henry book. If I had to personally predict where this book will sit in my personal hierarchy of Emily Henry books, I think it could be somewhere in the middle. I could be so wrong, but that's my guess. Right now, my ranking is Happy Place, Beach Read, Funny Story, Book Lovers, People We Meet on Vacation. I think it'll sit either just above Funny Story or just below Funny Story. But hopefully I'm wrong and this will become my new favorite book in the whole entire world. That would be the dream. Reading update. I'm 200 pages into this book now. I still don't quite know how to explain my thoughts on this. Stick with me here. I'm gonna try my best to convey how I feel. I feel like when I start a new book, 90% of the time I'll read, let's say, the first 10 to 20 pages. And if you ask me to rate the book at that point, like 10 to 20 pages into the book, if I had to give it a rating, 90% of the time I'm gonna say is probably sitting at a 3-star read. And then obviously as the book progresses, your thoughts and opinions change. However, there's 10% of the time where I'll read the first 10 to 20 pages of a book and straight away I'll be like, this is not the book for me. Like, this is gonna end up being 1 star, 2 stars. Like, I don't even want to continue it. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. But sometimes you just know from the first little bit of a book that it's not for you. And sometimes you start a book and 10 to 20 pages in, you'll be like, this is gonna be a 5-star read. Like, you just know deep in your gut that that book is gonna be 5 stars for you. I would say Beach Read, Happy Place, Funny Story are all books that within the first 10 to 20 pages, I felt some sort of like deep soul attachment to those books. I can't explain how or why, and I know it sounds dramatic and I honestly don't care, but those books I just started and immediately knew those were going to be 5-star reads to me. It was just like I stepped into those books and I just like felt at home, or I felt seen, or the writing just felt like a thought taken straight out of my brain. And so I think because of that, now I kind of go into Emily Henry books hoping to feel that way and kind of looking for that feeling. And so when I started this book and I got 10 to 20, 30, 40, 50 pages in and didn't have that feeling, didn't have that like immediate 5-star feeling, I was kind of like, oh no, is this book just not gonna be for me? And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of sad about it. And maybe you feel that way with Emily Henry. Maybe you feel like that with a different author. I'm sure all of us have our favorite authors that almost always when we pick up that person's books, you just know you're going to fall in love with them. And so yeah, when I didn't have that immediate 5-star feeling, I was a little bit sad, a little bit worried. And I was getting further and further into the book and definitely not getting that 5-star feeling. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is really sad. And it's crazy because the book isn't bad. The book is great. I love the writing. I'm very intrigued by the story. I love our female main character. I love our male main character. I also just think it's something different to what Emily Henry has done previously. So I was still having a great time. Like if I had to rate it 100 pages in, I'd probably be like, yeah, this is gonna be like a 4-star read for me. I'm having a great time, but I'm not obsessed. But I was just sitting on the couch reading, obviously. And in the last like 20 to 30 pages, I've just had a few moments where I'm like, wait, I'm starting to really, really like this. And again, I don't want to speak too soon. And also, it doesn't matter if this book is not a 5-star read for me. I'm not going to rate it 5 stars purely because it's an Emily Henry book. I'm only going to rate it 5 stars if it feels like a 5-star read, you know? But obviously, she's one of my favorite authors, so I'm hoping it's going to be a 5-star read. That's the whole point of this video, 5-star predictions. But yeah, in the last 20 to 30 pages, it's almost like it has clicked for me. And I'm like, wait, ratings don't really matter that much. I'm just trying to explain how I'm feeling. And I feel like sometimes ratings are the easiest way to explain how much you like a book, obviously, because it's just numerical and that's easy to understand. I will say the romance feels very subtle, very tender, very gentle. It feels like if you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss the moments of romance between the two main characters because it's very much in subtle touches. It's very much within the eye contact. It's very much within how they like posture themselves around each other. It's not a loud type of love at all, at least so far. And I wouldn't even say it's probably love yet. It's very much just like and attraction. And I think overall, the book just feels like, I feel like the best way I can explain it is it feels like the people in this book all know more than what they're telling you. Every single character, you can tell there's more to them than what you know as the reader, and it just makes me want to keep reading. I love it when books do that. I love it when I know there's more I need to find out, but I don't quite have the information yet. I just have pieces of the puzzle, but I do not yet have the whole picture. So I feel like even our main character, we're reading from her point of view. We're reading from Alice's brain, essentially, and I still don't feel like I really fully know her. And the same with Hayden, which is our male main character. The same with Margaret, which is a really prominent character. Even like Jodie, even Alice's mum, Alice's sister. All of these side characters, I don't really feel like I fully know any of them, and I want to. And I hope we get to know them. So it just feels like there's this like air of mystery. Obviously it's not like a mystery book, but it just feels like these characters have more to them, and I want to know everything. All day I have just been waiting for a chance to pick up my book. I had this great idea at the start of the day. I was like, you know what? I'll start work early. I'll be so productive. I'm gonna get all of my stuff done by like 1 p.m. and then I'll have the whole afternoon to read. It's currently 4:25. I just finished my to-do list. I was very ambitious and not as successful as I would have hoped. However, we're here now and I have about 35 minutes free. So you know what? We're gonna sit and we're gonna get as much reading done as we can. And guys, last night when I was in bed, I got up to page 318, which means I have almost exactly 100 pages left. And I'm stressed. I feel like 100 pages left in a book, I feel like that's usually where everything goes wrong, the conflict, and hopefully then things will end in a happily ever after. And like I mentioned at the beginning, the premise of this book is that there are two writers applying for the same job, and they have like a 1 month kind of trial period, and at the end of that 1 month, Margaret, who is this older lady, is going to decide who gets the job. And both of our main characters want this job so badly, but obviously there can only be one person who gets the job. So we are coming up very close to that 1 month situation, and we're gonna find out what's gonna happen and how that will affect the dynamic between our two main characters. And we're also getting really into the crux of Margaret's story, because our two main characters are trying to write Margaret's life story, and we are about to hear kind of like, I assume, maybe the most dramatic or the most interesting part of her story. But I'm very, very intrigued to see what Margaret is about to tell us, because I just feel like there's got to be more to it than what she's said so far. About 20 pages left. I don't know how she's gonna figure this out. I just finished Great Big Beautiful Life. I need to process this, but wow, that was fascinating. Like I said, I need to process. Every time I finished a book in this video, I was like, I need to process my thoughts before I give my like final review, I guess. And for some reason, I just didn't end up filming that final review until right now. So you're gonna see me wearing this outfit, like this version of me, after I finish each book in this video to give my final thoughts. So if this version of me just keeps showing up and you're like, shouldn't these clips be like days or weeks apart? Well, yes, they should be, but I've been processing. So I'm here now. Let's talk about Great Big Beautiful Life. I really enjoyed this. Like every day that I was reading it, I was looking forward to picking up the book, and every time I was reading it, I was having a really good time. I was intrigued pretty much the whole time. I don't feel like I was bored at all. I really liked our main characters. We had Hayden and Alice is this really bubbly, optimistic, just like chatty girl, and then Hayden is a lot more reserved, a lot more, I don't know, maybe like cautious. He is more quiet. I don't know if shy is the right word, but he's definitely not like a chatty Cathy, you know what I mean? And I really liked them. I really liked the dynamic. I really liked Alice, I think particularly because Emily Henry used her optimism kind of against her. She almost had this level of toxic positivity where she would try and find the positivity in everything, and sometimes it frustrated people around her, but I thought that was quite interesting because I haven't really seen that done with a lot of characters before. Usually they're just like optimistic and happy and bubbly for the sake of being happy and bubbly, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like Emily Henry was using that as a bit of a coping mechanism for Alice. She was kind of trying to show that instead of Alice going through hard things and then being really down about them or being really like negative or like hurt by those things, she just tries to turn them around and make them into a positive so she doesn't have to feel the feelings and feel the emotions that are difficult to feel when you go through something hard. So I thought that was a really interesting just like use of character traits, and I really liked that because it's just not something I've seen a lot before. It gave a lot of depth to Alice without really seeming like it. Like she just looked like quite shallow and bubbly and fun and giggly and sweet, but there was more to it, if that makes sense. Anyway, Hayden was a lot harder to read, but I still really liked him as a character. I really like a mysterious, quiet, and reserved kind of guy, and I did really enjoy their romance, but it wasn't my favorite romance that I've read about in an Emily Henry book. From what I'd heard other people say who also had arcs of this book is that it is a lot more fiction than romance. Like this is probably the least amount of romance she has written in a book. So I did go in with those expectations, and I'm glad I went in with those expectations, and I would recommend going in with those expectations. But I feel like in an Emily Henry book, there's usually a balance between fiction and romance. I think technically her books are still classified as romance books, but I'm sure if you've read them, you'll know what I mean when they are very like fiction and romance hand in hand. So there's usually like this balance, and I do feel like this book definitely skewed more on the fiction side of it, especially because we had that like second half of the plot that was focusing on writing Margaret's story, and because of that storyline, you as the reader get to hear a lot about Margaret, a lot about her past, a lot about her family, a lot about her romantic life, and all of the struggles and things that she went through as someone who was in the limelight her whole life. And I loved that aspect of the book. I loved being able to hear about Margaret's life because she just lives such an interesting life, and there's a lot of mystery surrounding her because Margaret tells you about how the press kind of understood things in her life and what the press and what the public thought was happening, and then she would tell the story of what was actually happening behind closed doors, which I love that sort of stuff. So in conclusion, to bring all of my thoughts together, I really liked the characters, I really liked the romance, and I really liked Margaret's story and that kind of plot side of things. However, when I finished the book, I personally felt unsatisfied. I feel like we had 400 pages to tell a romance story as well as Margaret's story, and I feel like because we were doing two really large things, and not even just the romance and then Margaret's story, but it was essentially Alice's whole life and like her family and her friends and her career, and also just like her values as a person and figuring out who she even was. That was all one thing, and then we had Margaret's whole thing, and it felt like we got to the end and I didn't have enough of either of the things for me to be satisfied, and that is the main issue that I have with this book. Whilst I loved everything it gave me, I feel like it didn't give me enough. Obviously that is just my opinion. It's interesting because I've seen people who have the arcs, I've seen some of them rate it 5 stars, I've seen some people rate it 3 stars, so I'm really intrigued to see what everyone's thoughts are. If you've read this one, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, obviously 4.5 is an incredible rating, but it's not quite 5 stars, so it's a little bit sad, but that is my honest opinion. We're moving on to book number 2, which is Fearless. Do I have the Kindle version and the physical version? Yes. Why? I knew this was coming in the mail, but I got impatient, so I just downloaded it onto my Kindle so I could start it, and then this one showed up. So now I have both, which is nice because now I can read this like while I'm in bed and stuff. And honestly, the text is kind of small in this, which I was not expecting. I feel like it hasn't been that small in Powerless and Reckless, but maybe I'm remembering incorrectly. Anyway, it's also longer than I thought. It's over 500 pages, and obviously, like I said, the text is small, so that's just crazy. I think the Kindle version says it's 600 pages. I was not expecting it to be that long, but anyway, this just came out, and obviously this video is 5-star predictions. Do I think this is going to be 5 stars? I'm not sure. Like, it's one of those books where I'm like, it could be, but it also might not be. I feel like when Reckless came out, I was like, Reckless is definitely going to be 5 stars, and then it absolutely was not. It was still good, like I still enjoyed it personally, but it was not a 5-star read. Like, no, it was not. And so I feel like now going into Fearless, I'm a bit more hesitant. I feel like it has the potential to be 5 stars, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out though. I have already been absolutely binging this, and I am, I think, just a little under halfway, which is crazy, and I can't believe I haven't given you guys an update yet, but here is my halfway update. The plot definitely took a turn that I wasn't expecting, which I'm really happy that it took this turn. I think I'm hoping it's not a repetitive kind of situation, but instead it's like fun, because I really didn't know what was going to happen in this book. Like, I didn't know where Lauren Roberts was going to take the story plot-wise after Reckless, but I feel like it makes sense. We're also hopefully getting some answers to some other questions that we've been having. I think my main thing that I'm just like, is that I feel like the romance side of things was quite, what would be the right terminology? I don't know if established is the right word, but I feel like we know how our characters feel about each other. Like, it's very obvious how the love interests feel about each other. So it's not really a how do they feel, but more so a will they actually end up together kind of situation. So I'm intrigued to keep reading. I'm honestly having a lot of fun. I've read obviously half the book in a day, so it has to be decent. Like, it has to be good if I've binged it this quickly, but I don't know if it's giving me 5-star feelings yet. Like I said, having fun. I feel like this series to me isn't like the best literature to ever exist, the most complicated layered plot to ever exist, but in my opinion, it's fun. It's fast paced. There's some good tension and some yearning, and if it's fun, that's all I really need. That's all I'm hoping for from this, so we'll see. This lighting is not flattering at all. Anyway, I did get my hair done today, but more importantly, I've been reading more of Fearless. I think I have just over 100 pages left, which is crazy. I have flown through this book, which is so interesting because when I started this, I was like, oh my gosh, there is no way that this book needs to be 500 pages. Like, I'm sure I'm gonna get to the end of this book and one of my criticisms is gonna be that it was too long, but it doesn't feel like it's 500 pages. Like, it hasn't felt like it's dragged out to me at all, I don't think. Like, it's really just flown by way faster than I thought it would, and I'm having a good time. I don't think it's giving me 5-star feelings, which obviously is a bit sad, but am I having fun? Yes. Yes, I am. And I honestly think that the further I get into the book, the more I like it. Like, at the start I was a bit like, what are we going to do in this book? Like, what are we going to achieve? What are we going to do differently? Are we going to like get anything new? And it may not be the most unique storyline I've ever seen in my life, but I'm having fun. We had like a Pirates of the Caribbean kind of moment, which as a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan, that was fun. We've had a lot of settings actually in this book. Also, a decent amount of the book has taken place like in the actual castle or like on the castle grounds. And I love a book that takes place majority in a castle. Don't know why. I think it's just like the imagery of it. It just feels really fun to me. There was a point in time where I was like, are we about to have like a Cassandra Clare moment? But I don't think we will. I don't think we will. But for a second I was like, oh. But I think we're all good. It's kind of late. I should be in bed, should be asleep, but my brain won't switch off. So I think I'm just going to continue reading for a little while in the library room. I might switch to my Kindle though. I don't think I'll finish it tonight, but we might get close. let's talk about my final thoughts on Fearless. This book was so interesting to me because there were parts that I absolutely loved and like ate up, and there were some parts where I was just a bit like, okay, we can keep going, I don't really care what's going on right now. But overall I had a fun time, and that is really what I went into this book hoping for. I definitely don't think this book was as good as Powerless, the first book in the trilogy, but I do think it was better than Reckless. So if Reckless put you off continuing the series, I do think it could be worth picking this up and continuing it, especially if you really loved Powerless. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It definitely wasn't a 5-star read, but again, I had a good time, I had fun, and there were definitely parts in this book, especially where it was like life or death situations or just like higher stakes situations, where I was sat, like I could not put the book down at certain parts. I think my main criticisms for this book particularly would be, 1, the romance just felt a bit redundant. Like we've already seen everything that there was to say about the romance in this book from the 2 previous books. At least that's how I felt. If you're obsessed with Kai, I'm sure you will eat this up, but as someone who wasn't completely obsessed with Kai to begin with, like obviously like I really enjoyed him in the first book specifically, but I think because we saw him in the first book with Peyton and we saw how they felt about each other, and then we saw the same thing in the second book, it's like, oh, I really like you but I can't be with you, and then we saw it again in the third book and I was just a bit like, okay, I've seen this film before, you know? Apart from the romance, my other main criticism is I didn't like where they took one of the characters' storylines, a very prominent character. It felt like that character's ending was quick and a bit like, what? Like, what just happened? I don't know, I thought it was a bit unnecessary. It felt like the easy way out. It felt like they didn't know what to do with this character because they had made it too messy, and so they were just like, I'll just do this and then it's all solved. But it just felt a bit like, no, I think you should have done something different. That's just my opinion. And then it felt like after that big thing happened, which I know I'm being so vague and annoying, but like hopefully you'll know what I'm referring to if you've read it. But after that big event happened, the rest of the book felt a bit like, what is going on? Everything just fell into place way too easily. Like surely not. Like surely it wouldn't have been that easy after that big thing happened anyway. I don't know, but I did really love the epilogue. I thought that was written beautifully. Like it literally almost made me cry. Like I was getting teary-eyed reading that epilogue because I just thought it was written so beautifully, and like the concept of the epilogue, I thought that is just really beautiful. Like I said, some parts I was like obsessed with and some parts I was kind of bored at. I think overall 4 stars feels like the right rating for me because overall I had a really good time. I wasn't obsessed with every choice made by the author, but I enjoyed my reading experience, and it also felt a lot quicker than I thought it was going to feel. I thought this was going to take me a long time to get through, and I think I read it in like 3 days. Like it flew by, even though it's definitely a bit chunkier. So I do think it's worth a read. But yeah, it definitely didn't make it as a 5-star. And that's okay. This is not the best angle, but we're working with what we have. I love that you can see my sunny angel there. But anyway, not the point. I need to talk to you guys about this book because I started a new book last night. Oh my gosh. What the actual heck is in this book? Why am I even surprised? I started The Conditions of Will last night. I'm so unwell. I'm so unwell. Like I said, less than 24 hours ago, it's 10 a.m. the next day. I'm almost halfway through. Like, I started it at like 4 or 5 p.m. yesterday maybe, and I quite literally couldn't go to bed. I stayed up like 2 hours later than I normally stay up just so I could read this, and because I like couldn't sleep because I was just thinking about this book, and the only reason I put it down was because I forced myself to. Like I was like, Rachel, you need to go to bed. So I put it down, woke up this morning, started reading again, and then again had to force myself to put it down so that I could like go for my walk and do my morning routine and like actually be productive. But it's now 10:30. I've like done a few things, and now I've come to a cafe so that I can keep reading because I just need to. Like, there is something in me that just needs to keep reading this book. This is Jessa Hastings' newest release. Obviously, she is the author of the Magnolia Park series. She's one of my favorite authors of all time. Magnolia Parks is my favorite book of all time, but this is a brand new contemporary standalone. So it's not in the Magnolia Parks universe. It's not in the Never universe. Like, those are the other books she's written. It is completely separate. I mean, there are like hints to Magnolia in this, but like, it is its own book. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to read anything in the Magnolia Parks universe to be able to fully understand this. It is its own book in its own right. And this book is following Georgia, whose father has just passed away. She lives in London, but she's traveled back to the US, to the small town where she's from. Is it in the South? Is it South Carolina, I think? I think it's South Carolina. And is that considered the South? Like, I actually have no idea where that is on a map. I don't know US geography at all. Very conservative. Everyone's in everyone's business. Everyone's gossiping about each other. And yeah, she's come home because her dad has passed away. She has 3 siblings. She's one of 4. There's a lot of family dynamics dynamics going on, and it's also a romance. She's met this guy now that she's home, and there's a bit of a forced proximity situation. But like, that description does not do this book justice at all. Like, the way it's written, which like obviously it's Jessa Hastings writing, it's written so incredibly wonderful. I don't think I could enjoy anyone's writing more than I enjoy Jessa's. Like, I don't know what it is about it. I wish I could explain it to you, but I quite literally can't. But Magnolia and Never and this, like, the writing itself, take the characters out of it, take the plot out of it, take the storytelling out of it, just the writing itself is just something so perfect to me. So even just that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sat. I just want to read and devour and consume every single word that is on this page. But then the story itself, like George's story and her situation, it actually feels like a personal attack. Like, I literally was trying to explain it to Liam last night. I was like, the amount of things that I can relate to in this book is unfortunately quite alarming. In saying that, there are some things that I absolutely can't relate to at all, but some parts of her story feel like somehow Jessa has found my own autobiography, which I haven't written, and she has stolen parts of it. Like, it's crazy. I am unwell. Part of me is like, I want to finish it today. I don't think I can read like 250 pages, a little bit, actually more than that, almost 300 pages in one day, but like, I could, but I have other things I should do, and that wouldn't be a good decision for me to make. Will I do it anyway? Maybe. We'll see. I'm also annotating the whole thing. You can't really see, but I've got the tabs out. I've been underlining stuff. Like, it's just, if it continues the way that it has been, this might be shaping up, potentially, I don't want to speak too soon, but it might be shaping up to be my favorite book of the year so far. Could this be the first 5-star in the 5-star prediction video? Maybe. It's definitely giving me 5-star feelings right now, but I'm gonna go get a coffee, sit down at this cafe, and continue to be personally attacked by Jessa Hastings. What's new? A reading update, but like, I don't even know what to say. I just got up to chapter 45, page 323. I still just can't put this book down. What I said earlier is still the same now. Like, the only times I've put down this book is because I feel like I should, not because I want to. Obviously, I just have things to do. And so as much as I would love to just sit down and consume this book all at once, I can't. Part of me is honestly like, Rachel, slow down, drag it out, enjoy it. Like, who knows the next time we'll get a Jessa Hastings new release. Like, I need to just enjoy this and take it in slowly, but I literally can't. Like, I need to read it all right now. The way that she describes things, specifically like falling in love. Well, actually no, anything, but falling in love and like the tension between you and someone that you really like, kissing them for the first time. Moments like that she just describes so perfectly. There are many other things she describes so perfectly as well, but that's just one example. Like, she will compare those feelings to something completely different. Like, in this book, I'm not going to say it as well as she did, but she compared it to something like when you do something dangerous as a kid that's really, really fun, like maybe going on a scary ride at a water park, and it's kind of dangerous but also extremely fun, and at the end, that feeling that you get, like, that's the feeling you get when you kiss someone that you really like for the first time. And like, where does she get these comparisons from? Because she compares things to something just so completely different to what she's actually saying, yet it makes perfect sense. And I want to be inside her brain. I want to understand how she comes up with these things, because it blows my mind. I also just feel like she makes her characters feel so real, like so human, and I think that's because all of her characters are just, they're not perfect. They all have flaws. Like, they all just have so many layers and so much depth, and the flaws that they have come from something, and there's a reason why they are the way that they are, and I love that. Like, I need it to make sense for characters to behave certain ways, and Jessa Hastings always has a reason why her characters behave certain ways and you know, just like are the way that they are, and I love it because it just That's what people are like in real life. There's always a reason why people do things, and there's always a reason why people are the way they are. So when you have a book and it doesn't really make sense, or they're not consistent with what they say they are, or like they have this trauma and they're acting in this way but it doesn't line up, that really bothers me, because it makes them feel so fake. It makes them feel like characters in a book. But books like this, where they're written so well and so intentionally, I just love it. And the way she does flashbacks too, it just, like, they are integrated so perfectly in the story, and it makes perfect sense for them to exist where they do. It's not like a chapter in the present and then a chapter in the past and then a chapter in the present. Like, her flashbacks will be in amongst the chapters of the present, but they make, oh my gosh, I just think she is an incredible. My camera battery died. You can always tell that I like a book because I can't shut my mouth about it. I can't stop talking about it. And this book is one of those situations. I'm now up to chapter 52, page 370. I think I have just under 100 pages left. We just found out something crazy and also something bad just happened. So don't know how we're going to fix this, but it's not looking good. And one thing about Jessa is, whilst I want her to give us a happily ever after, and I think she will, you just don't know. Like, she is a little bit unpredictable. She definitely has given us some not so happy or complete endings in the past, but that's in like series, and this is a standalone. So I'm hoping for a happy ever after, but we'll see. Finished it, and I'm so sad that I'll never be able to read that again for the first time. I can't believe it's over. I can't believe it's a standalone. Like, are we never gonna see these characters ever again? What do you mean? Where do I even begin? I loved this. I loved it so much. I've read everything that Jessa has written so far, but going into this, I just didn't know what to expect, because this is her first contemporary standalone, and this is her first contemporary since Magnolia Parks. So it was also just like, is it going to be similar to that? Is it going to be completely different? I don't know. And I feel like it was really different to Magnolia Parks. Like, the characters were really different. We also had a really healthy relationship in this, with great communication. Obviously there was still like trauma and issues that the characters had to work with, but compared to Magnolia Parks, this was a healthy, communicative relationship. It was crazy to see, and it was really fun to see Jessa just write something very different. I do think Magnolia Parks is still like my 6-star favorite of all time. Like, I don't think I liked this as much as Magnolia Parks. However, I still absolutely loved this. I don't think the romance was my favorite part of this book. I really enjoyed the romance, but I don't think that was like the thing that made it for me. I think the thing that made it for me was the family dynamics, and I think that was kinda, I don't know if I should say the main point, because I don't know, maybe the romance was the main point, but to me it felt like the family dynamics was the main point. This book touches on so many different things. I don't really want to go into what the triggers are, because I feel like some people think triggers are spoilers, but I will say maybe look into it, because there are quite a few. I would say, like, there are a lot of really heavy topics discussed in this book, so just be aware. I just think that families are fascinating, and they can just be so extremely messy, and I think this was a really great example of how messy a family can be and what that does to someone, and how much your family just shapes who you are, whether you like it or not, and for good or for bad. I feel like this book was Matilda by Harry Styles, but in book form. I don't even like know what to say about this book, because there's just like so much to say, but I don't want to ramble for like 30 minutes here. I just think everyone should read this book. I know not everyone will love it. Obviously we all just have different opinions, but I just really loved it, and it just felt so real. And I also really loved the ending. One thing that kind of frustrates me when it comes to family dynamics in books is sometimes there'll be a really messy family and you get to the end and it's just like, and they all forgave each other and lived happily ever after, and it's just like, that is not real life. Unfortunately, I wish it was, but it's not. And so having a book where the ending was a happy ending, but not everything fell into place so perfectly, and not every relationship was just like perfect and happy and everyone was just like, oh, you've really hurt me, but that's okay, I'll just forgive you and move on. Like, it wasn't so clear cut. It was a lot more grey. I think this whole book was really good at talking about the grey. I feel like a lot of people want things to be black and white, and life just isn't like that. There's a lot of grey in between the black and white, and this book was just a really good example of that. I think I just need to stop talking because I'm just gonna stop making sense. I will say a lot of people have been messaging me, do you have to read Magnolia Parks, or like, do you have to read that series before reading this? Absolutely not. There are tiny little, like almost like Easter eggs, I would say, of like characters and people that are mentioned in this book that correlate with the Magnolia Park series, but if you haven't read that, you just won't pick up on those, but it won't hinder your reading experience at all. So you could totally pick this up even if you've never read any of Jess's other books before. But this was a 5-star read for me, and I'm so happy about it. After reading 2 books that didn't quite hit that 5-star mark for me, we did get a 5-star in this video. However, I was supposed to read one more book in this video, Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I couldn't do it. Unfortunately, after finishing this book, I have been slumping. I've been slumping hard. I think the worst part about reading a really good book is that then you have to pick up another book after that, and my heart is just not in it. I haven't been able to stop thinking about this since I finished it, and the idea of picking up another book, especially like another book by like one of my other favorite authors, I just can't do it yet. So I'll get there eventually, but for now, it's not the time. So in saying that, I am going to end off this video here. Obviously in this video, I read 3 5-star predictions, and whilst only one of them was actually a 5-star read for me, I did have such an amazing reading experience with all of these books. Like, I just had the best time. We had a 4.5-star read, a 4-star, and a 5-star. Like, those are all incredible ratings, and I just enjoyed them all so much. I'd recommend all of them. And not every book can be a 5-star, and that is okay. But I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.